Good afternoon. Welcome to the Teachers Retirement Board meeting of December 19th, 2019. I'll start by calling the roll. John Adler.
I am here.
Thomas Brown.
Here.
Natalie Green-Giles.
Here.
David Kazansky.
Present.
Lindsay Oaks. Russell Buckley. Deborah Penny.
Here.
Susanna Vickers.
Here.
We have a quorum. So next on the agenda is an update on TRS operations given to us by Kavita Conroy.
Thank you, Patricia. TRS is completing the processing of required minimum distributions, or RMDs, for the tax year 2019. RMDs are paid to certain retirees who are maintaining their TDA accounts but have reached age 70 and a half. About 16,600 retirees will receive their distribution in December of this year. About 2/3 of these are members who did not make a specific choice about how to receive the distribution but are required to receive payment by the year end. About 1,000 beneficiaries who participate in our TDAB program will also receive RMDs this month. On January 1st, 2020, a new plan year goes into effect for Tier 6 members, which means their pension contribution rate may change. Based on the rules governing Tier 6, TRS has reviewed and updated salary and wage information for all Tier 6 members, and approximately 9,900 will have a new rate starting in January. Earlier in December, TRS conducted an email campaign to members about our TDA program. Over 130,000 members received messages encouraging participation and mentioning the new contribution limits for the year 2020. Thank you.
Thank you, Kavita. Next on the agenda is the Executive Director's report. And the first item on the report is the matter of the next meeting. And it's been suggested that the next regular meeting of the Teachers Retirement Board be held on the 5th Thursday of the month, January 30th, 2020. So we should all take care of that. Next is a resolution authorization to the Comptroller of the City of New York to invest certain QPP funds.
Please waive the reading.
Deborah, you have a vote?
Okay. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Great. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carries.
Next is a resolution authorization to the Comptroller of the City of New York to invest certain tax-deferred annuity funds.
Please waive the reading.
Okay. All those in favor?
Well,
I'm sorry. Is there a motion?
so moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Great. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Motion carries.
Next is the extension of participation in the Common Investment Meeting.
Please skip to the resolve.
Resolved, the Teachers Retirement Board extends for a 1-year period its participation in the Common Investment Meeting as described and subject to the conditions of the Board's 2015 and 2016 SIM resolutions. And be it further resolved, nothing in this resolution shall abrogate any rights or waive any responsibilities reserved for trustees under applicable law.
Okay. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Next is the Emerging Market Company Review Policy.
Again, please skip to the resolve.
Resolved that the Board adopts the attached Emerging Market Company Review Policy, and to be it further resolved that in furtherance of the Emerging Market Company Review Policy, within 90 days of submission to the Board of Reports from the ESG review vendors, staff and an independent investment consultant will submit to the Board recommended criteria as specified in the policy to facilitate consideration of identified financial and reputational risks, and resolve that the interim public emerging market policy will remain in place until further action by the Board.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on this? We all good with this? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, next is the calendar of events. And the calendar of events. Is the calendar, and it's the approval of the minutes for the month of October 3rd, investment meeting minutes, October 30th, board meeting minutes, November 7th, investment meeting minutes, November 20th, sim meeting minutes, and November 21st, board meeting minutes.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve all of the minutes of those meetings?
So moved.
Thank you. Is there a second? Second. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any discussion? All those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Second.
So, for the rest of the calendar, the board has received an electronic version of the calendar.
You can waive the reading.
Thank So this will be a motion.
Okay, is there a motion? I'm sorry, is there a motion to adopt it?
So moved.
Is there a second? Second. Great. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. We've adopted the calendar.
Next, under other business, is a presentation by Kavita on data governance.
Good afternoon. My name is Kavita Kendall, and I am going to be presenting to you our formal data governance program, how we are going about establishing it. So as part of the agenda, we are going to be defining the term data governance, some of the expected value proposition from the data governance program, how are we going about developing the overall program, and our current status, where are we with this program. So data governance is needed because data and information are what we rely on to do our jobs on a day-to-day basis, service our members, and report to our stakeholders. We need policies and procedures in place to make sure that we are managing it correctly. So data governance is the exercise of authority and control, which is basically planning, monitoring, and enforcement of our data assets. So what you see here on the pie chart are the 10 knowledge areas that are prescribed by the Data Management Association, which is also known as DAMA, which is basically the practices of the formal data governance program. Data governance is very central to all our technical and system-related areas that are involved in the capture and flow of data within the organization. So procedures are required in each of these areas to support our policies when it comes to safeguarding our data. Understanding the need for better data governance, TRS has made it part of its strategic vision. So some of the objectives for the overall data governance program are to safeguard the integrity of critical data assets, reduce the costs associated with
Kavita,
it.
either use the microphone or you have to speak up.
Sorry.
Yeah, the helicopters can pick that up.
The helicopter.
Okay. So safeguarding the integrity of its data as a critical asset, is it better? Okay. Reduce the costs associated with addressing the data problems, increase the organization's shared understanding of its data, and enable the effective decision making regarding the structure, the content during our agency's modernization effort and thereafter for our regular operations. Okay. So one of the key parts of the data governance is to establish an authoritative data dictionary. So TRS Data Dictionary is an online, easily accessible repository that includes a catalog of all the data elements used in the various databases by the TRS applications. The TRS Data Dictionary allows the linkages of business terms to the technical terms and leads to a shared understanding of data and terminology both on the technical side as well as on the business side. The dictionary is a key tool for self-service reporting and understanding system impacts when the business rules change or the applications are modified. So in here, what we see is an example So in-service member is a very commonly used term here at TRS. And what the slide tries to present is that one area of the organization may assume that in-service member is somebody who is actively engaged in day-to-day work, reports to work every day. Whereas some other area may be thinking that an in-service member is somebody who is in active service as well as somebody who's on leave. So the question is, how do we come to a resolution wherein everybody understands this term in the right way, or what should be the right way? So the data governance program lays down the process that will enable the organization to achieve this shared understanding. They will bring all the departments involved to collaborate and come to the common definition. So in this case, you see how we did come to a common acceptable definition to all the different areas. And it is somebody, actually an in-service member, somebody who is actively working as well as is on leave of up to 7 years. So that's the acceptable definition across the organization. So the group that includes the data governance organization is basically the data governance program manager. There'll be representatives from the different departments. They're called data stewards, as well as IT data managers, who are also commonly referred to as data custodians. And they will all meet together to craft the definition and come to a consensus and approve the publication to the TRS data dictionary. So data governance organization is also responsible for ongoing maintenance of this, and if any updates are needed, they would be coming together again to ensure that we come to a common consensus. So another part of data governance is to formulate policies and procedures. So in this slide, basically what we're seeing is that address information is a key component for client data governance. So the data governance policy regarding address data helps us to ensure that the data quality and completeness is achieved for person's address. So what is demonstrated on this slide is that data is coming into TRS through different sources. So some of the sources could be employers sending us data feeds, so such as DOE, CUNY, or a charter school. Or the member could be themselves entering this information using our member portal. So one of the elements of address field is the state data. So in here, what is being demonstrated is that the state New York is being provided in many different formats. So as you can see, somebody is using a short form, some other source could be using a different cases for providing that information. But once we apply the data standardization process and procedures to that intake of the feeds, and as the data is coming into our databases, it ensures consistency. So when we're bringing in this data, it's coming in as this New York, which is what is being shown, and that's how we are bringing it into our database. So this is the data standardization process. Another example, so further building on that, is how in here we're demonstrating that along with the data standardization, we are also validating data. So that's another of the procedure that gets applied. And what the data validation procedure is trying to accomplish is ensure completeness and accuracy of the data. So on the address field, there are certain, on the address data, there are certain fields that are required. So like address line 1, the city, state are required fields, and the zip code. So when the data is reported and again being brought in through the data feeds, we are ensuring that we are validating those pieces of information and only bringing it once they conform to the validation rules, which would be that it should be filled out, that it should be in a certain format, and that it should be reported. We could be also validating with other external sources like Melissa data and kind of trying to standardize it. So what's going to come through is what's meeting our standard, which is one of this example. The other one where it's incomplete is going to actually fall out as an exception. And those exceptions would be brought back to the source of the report, of the information, which could be an employer. In this case, could be DOE or CUNY or the charter school, and they are required to fix that data and resolve it before we can bring it into our system. So once the data is complete, standardized, and accurate, reporting of data becomes very easy. As a member-centric organization, this further our goals of achieving operational excellence, that is through straight-through processing, and providing member satisfaction by having complete and full, timely information. So it eventually results in efficient operations. So ensuring the proper management of data is essential to our mission of providing exceptional service to our members. The cost of bad data can impact all operational areas of our organization, and we get a better handle on our liabilities and the impact of changes made when the data and how it's used through our system is clear and consistent. So putting things in perspective and to appreciate the complexity of instilling a formal data governance program and a culture of data stewardship and data ownership throughout the organization, just want to give you some numbers. So there are about 3,000 plus technical terms that are in the scope of the overall program, in our new system and old system, which are being defined as part of this program. There are about 800 plus business terms in various business glossaries across all the departments at TRS as part of this effort. And the total volume of data that we are talking about is about 3+ terabytes. And in relative terms, if we were to cut 150,000 trees and make paper out of that and print on those pieces of paper, that's the amount of information we are talking about when we say 3+ terabytes of information.
What was that number? 100 what?
150,000.
150,000. So 50,000 per terabyte.
Yeah. Okay, so
How old are the trees?
What?
I asked how old the trees are.
all right, so in terms of our current status, right now during the course of modernization, we are in the process of defining and establishing the data and how it is being managed. And as we proceed into the post-modernization phase, TRS will be basically optimizing the data governance program and then proactively controlling and maintaining our data using all those policies and procedures. So that's all I have. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Put a lot of work into that.
Next on the agenda is comments from the public. Seeing none.
Do I hear a motion to move into executive session?
I move pursuant to Public Officers Law, Section 105, to go into executive session for discussions regarding specific contract matters.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Do I hear a second? Second. Thank you. All those in favor of going to executive session, please say aye. Aye. Great. Any opposed? We are in executive session. Okay, we are out of executive session and we're back to public session. Welcome back. Is there any other matters?
Just Susan is going to read out what happened in
There we
executive
go.
session.
Exactly. A contract matter was discussed. Consensus was reached, which will be announced at the appropriate time. Another contract matter was discussed. A vote was taken, the results of which will be announced at the appropriate time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. Okay, now are there any other matters? Okay, is there a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second?
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We stand adjourned.
Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.